Well, we're going to put you to work here, BP, and you can take them through corner number 10 here that they're about to enter and all the way down the straightaway until Bill Weber picks it up. So call the start for us.
Okay, I'll do it. It looks good to have Bill Elliott on the outside of the front row. Looks like the Mickey D's car is back again, and I know a lot of Ford fans, a lot of Bill Elliott fans are glad to see that. But can he beat Mark Martin at this racetrack? No one has had a lot of success doing that the last couple of years. Here they come down. Doyle Ford has a green flag waiting on them. They're eyeing Doyle. He's taking a look at them. And they're off and running towards Bill Weber down in turn 1. And who's going to get the jump in turn 1?
They're going to fan out. Mark Martin on the inside, Bill Elliott on the outside. It's Martin first, followed by Elliott with Labonte, Wallace, and Michael Waltrip trying to make a move on the outside as they head up to turn 2. This is where they'll have to get single file through the S's. Martin leading the way as they head up through the S's, and they'll charge toward Dorsey Schrader in the interlude.
This is where we anticipate another flare as they will try to pass under braking going into the interlude. First time, Mark Martin pulling a little bit of lead over Bill Elliott right there. They're side by side. And here we go. You can see about 3 rows back, a bunch of position shuffling going on there. So far, everyone clean through the interloop. And that's the outer loop as Mark Martin goes down the hill and heads now towards the only left-hander in this course.
Looking back on Bill Elliott running second. That's the new pavement that John Curtin talked about earlier. Here's Jeff Gordon making a move on Michael Waltrip as they go into turn number 10, and he goes into 5th position.
Well, he did dance pretty easily, Bob. He had a good run coming into turn 10 there. And just
Mark Martin leading lap number 1. He leads all drivers in laps led here at the Glen. 138 going into today. He's now led 139. Some side-by-side racing going. Oh, and Joe Nemechek almost loses it in the Burger King Monte Carlo, but saved it. Whoa.
He did a great job of straightening that car out, Bob. If somebody would just have tapped him, he would have been gone, but he did a good job.
And of course, Ted Musgrave running behind him.
Here's Ricky Rudd making a move in the tied Ford on the inside of Kyle Petty, taking away the 7th position. Jeremy Mayfield looking out the windshield of his car on Kyle Petty.
Jeremy's had a couple of good races, has he? In fact, really the second half of the season, he's really come on strong.
Still holding on to that 9th position he started in.
We'll watch Jeff Gordon as a moment ago he was set to pounce on Rusty Wallace, but has now fallen back behind him. Let's see if he come down the straightaway again. Into turn number 1. It's still Mark Martin leading Elliott, Labonte, and then Wallace.
All single file, Bob, as they pass through here again. Gordon looking perhaps to the inside of Rusty, but backs off that time. Now a car out of line. It's Earnhardt making the move on Dale Jarrett. He takes over that position and chases Ricky Craven.
That was Earnhardt up to the 14th position. He was in 15th.
There's a suspension on Dale Earnhardt's car. We saw the roof cam a moment ago. Now this is the suspension. This track is pretty smooth, looks like, Ed.
Well, it's pretty smooth, but every once in a while they'll get off a wheel on a curbing or something, and you can see how hot those brake rotors get when he was going into the interloop. You use a lot of brakes on this racetrack, and that's one place on the track that you really get on the binders. You can see they cool off a little bit now as he accelerates out of turn 5 and heads over towards turn 10.
Boy, the whole right side of your screen lit up there when they applied the brakes and lit up those rotors. Now, once again, headed to turn 10 and again, hard on the brakes.
But that's another spot on the racetrack where you get on those brakes pretty hard, and you can see the results. It really lights them up.
Yeah, that's a great shot showing that rotor. That's going up to about 2,000 degrees. Not really. I think it goes up about 1,200 degrees, though. And then the cooling hoses on the front cool it down. You see Ricky Rudd making move. That's Kyle Petty just hit the curb.
Pretty close call for Kyle there. He got up on the rumble strips, but lost a little bit of track position. There is Rudd in the number 10 side car.
smoothest road racers in the business. He started in 7th.
Rudd has 5 road course victories, 2 at Riverside, 2 at Watkins Glen, and 1 at Sears Point.
There we saw Wally Dallenbach take Kyle Petty going into the inner loop.
Here's a guy that would like to come off with a very good performance here at Watkins Glen now. He doesn't have anything specifically lined up. We're talking about Wally Dallenbach for 1996. He says he has a few possibilities, but a good showing here could very well get him a good solid effort for 1996. Riding with Jeremy Mayfield in 10th position as Mark Martin leads after 3 laps at the Bud at the Glen from Watkins Glen, New York. Watkins Glen, New York, live coverage of the Bud at the Glen NASCAR Winston Cup race. You're looking back on the rest of the field from leader Mark Martin. The most recent guy back there is Bill Elliott, who is running in 2nd, and here's your first Napa Field summary of the afternoon. Mark Martin led 75 of the 90 laps en route to victory last year, and early on, he is the leader here from the pole position once again.
We saw that Wally Dallenbach has moved up to 8th position from his 12th starting position, so his road racing experience paying off for him here as we continue down through the field. Everyone's still in the lead lap.
John Kernan, there were some cars that made pit stops either before or right after the race began. What's the situation on that?
Bob, right before the green flag came out, Hut Strickland had to jump onto pit road. They went underneath the hood, changed coils, changed the ignition boxes. They had a miss in the car. We think that took care of the problem, and at least Hut hasn't said anything since he's been back out on the racetrack. Now, we've also received a report sneaking in on the scanner frequencies of Kyle Petty, and he has relayed to his crew chief that he may be running out of brakes. We don't know if he's completely out of them at this point or if he's just got a really soft pedal, but we will be checking that out. Also, Jeff Burton had radioed in and said the 11 car, Brett Bodine, might be laying some oil down on the track. We are up here and we will talk to Junior Johnson in a minute to see if we can confirm that, but so far, that's about all that we've got here on pit road.
The 87 car is smoking, Ned.
Yes, it is, Bob, especially when he goes into the turn. We're watching again Joe Nemechek in the Burger King Chevrolet. Can't tell if it's something in the chassis, maybe something rubbing or a tire smoke, or maybe if there's some grease or an oil leak somewhere. Rusty Wallace took a look at Terry Labonte there, but there was nothing there for him to make a pass.
And Ned Dale Earnhardt has picked up another couple of spots, gotten around Ricky Craven and around Jeremy Mayfield, and continues his charge up toward the front from that 15th starting position. Nemechek goes by here now, smoking heavily as he heads into turn 2, while Earnhardt goes up through the S's.
That would move Dale then up to 11th position as we look back for Nemechek in the 87. Benny, any ideas there what this smoke could be? Remember, he lost control there in turn 1 a couple of laps ago, but I don't know whether that had anything to do with it or not.
Bob, it looks to me like he might have just a valve cover gas leaking or something like that. Doesn't look like a real serious problem.
I don't think it's affecting his speed at all. It's just that smoke. And NASCAR will look at it and keep an eye on it. And as long as Robert Presley doesn't complain that something's coming up on his windshield, well, he'll probably be able to stay out there.
Well, leave it. Yeah, down here, actually coming out of the outer loop, the right-hander at the bottom, it smoked quite heavily. So whatever it is dumping out when he makes right-hand corners there.
So as Benny said, it could be an oil, a valve cover maybe leaking in on that side, and when he goes around that turn, it just leaks over onto a little bit of oil, maybe leaks over onto the exhaust headers, and that's what caused the smoke.
Now Robert Preston may be making a move on Nemechek, Bill, as they head toward you.
And he looks to make that move. Meanwhile, Earnhardt got around Kyle Petty and continues his climb. Here comes Presley, towed by Lake Speed, or towing Lake Speed, actually, and they get around Nemechek, and there's a good shot of that car as it smokes heading into turn 2.
I think that's something that may be bringing him into the pits before long. He is losing positions.
Yeah, the worst thing in the world right now, this early in the race, is to get a windshield full of oil and not be able to see, and nowhere near a pit stop yet.
There is Sterling Marlin, who had a very poor qualifying effort and has moved up to 30th position from his 32nd starting position, so he's only gained 2. John, what's the story on the 87?
Bob, I just talked to Joe Nemechek's crew chief, Mike Borschinger. He told me at first they were hoping, had their fingers crossed, that it might have just been brake smoke. But Joe has now radioed in on the last lap and says he's starting to smell a little bit of burning oil. So maybe Benny's observation is absolutely right. They're not sure if it's from the oil tank or maybe have a loose valve cover. But they would love to get a caution so he could get down here on pit road and check that out and hopefully get it fixed. Now, I mentioned the 11 car. I just talked to Junior Johnson before coming down to Nemechek's pit, and Junior says what he thinks is happening when Brett gets on the brakes, the fender rubs against the tire, and that's causing a little bit of the smoke that Jeff Burton had reported to his crew.
All right, we'll be watching for that situation. There is Morgan Shepherd in the 21 car running in 14th spot. We do have a new second-place occupant. That would be Jeff Gordon. He made the move, looked like in turn 10, Ned.
Yeah, he just moved. He drafted on Bill Elliott, and then all of a sudden he moved out to the inside. Bill didn't fight him going into that turn, which was very smart, and Gordon takes over the position.
So it's now Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon in second, and Elliott in third.
Well, we saw Dale Jarrett and Morgan Shepherd there a moment ago racing, and apparently they got together a little bit. There's Shepherd off in the grass. We'll take a look at it.
So that happened right up here in the braking zone. You'll see it on the replay here. The two of them get in, and I think a little help from behind here, you'll see.
Okay, we see Jarrett on the inside. Shepherd comes down there, and they touch, and Morgan goes around out into the grass, and the sit go forward.
Don't think that car is hurt, really. It's just stuck out there in the grass.
Has he been able to get it fired yet, Dorsey?
Yeah, I believe he has returned.
There's no caution, so he was out of harm's way. Yeah, there he is.
There he is.
Also looks like there might be some tire smoke coming from the left side of the Haviland Ford going through turn 1, and Joe Nemechek continues to smoke as he makes that turn through here and heads up to turn 2.
Yeah, I thought maybe there was some contact between Shepherd and Jarrett that may be causing some problems for Dale as the afternoon goes along. This is from Jeremy Mayfield's perspective, the incident right ahead of him.
Yep, there was definite contact as they went in there. Around Shepherd went.
Backup sprint.
Situation, two cars trying to get in the same place at the same time, Bob.
Exactly. It's Martin, Gordon, then Elliott, Labonte, and Rusty Wallace, the top 5 as we ride with Rusty.
And the last couple of times down the front stretch, guys, Rusty's taken a look to the inside of Terry Labonte. Hasn't been able to make that pass yet, but he keeps lining up on the last couple of laps. Not going to make it this time either. Single file as they go through 1, followed by Michael Waltrip, and then Wally Dallenbach, who continues to move up through the field.
There is Terry Labonte on the right. He also, along with Dale Earnhardt, is making his 500th NASCAR Winston Cup start here at the Bud at the Glen. We have completed 11 laps of this race. It's Mark Martin, then Gordon, Elliott, Labonte,